Welcome to the Advertising Forum. This is episode 2 of our Open Garden series, sponsored by AI Digital.
With us today is Angel Suarez, the CEO and founder of Pixel Plume. He's going to chat with us today about how smaller agencies leverage open ecosystems and how to move fast and compete against larger players. Angel, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me. Excited to dig in.
I love it. When you were recommended to come on this episode, I like it because you are a smaller, more nimble, fast-moving agency. I wanted to ask you from your perspective, how do flexible tools or partners allow you to compete with the larger agencies in this world?
Yeah, great question. I guess just to take a step back, and I can keep it tight on kind of like my background and kind of how Pixel Plume came to fruition and the benefits of the smaller agency model. But, I came from bigger agencies. I worked at creative agencies, media agencies. I've been on the client side managing media and creative agencies. Most recently on the retail media side with Roundel at Target, where I really kind of cut my teeth on the significance and importance of data. Spent some time at the trade desk. And so kind of throughout the course of my career, wearing all the different hats that I've worn around what would be a CMO's table, what I've realized is that a lot of these kind of challenger brands that are sitting on a treasure trove of first-party data don't really know what to do with it. And in a lot of cases, they also don't really have a true brand identity. So kind of marrying together, data, technology, best-in-class media with really identifying who they are as a brand and where they should go from a creative standpoint to really differentiate themselves. And so when we think about how small agencies work and the flexible tools that we use, I've worked for big agencies. I worked for Fortune 50 companies. And if there's one thing that we know about them, it's they move really slow, right? So everything is decision by committee, and rightfully so. They have big enterprise agreements, and really getting anything on the product team's roadmap to build something that's more custom, that requires engineering resources and things along those lines. You're talking about maybe years for something to come to fruition that we know as, folks in the field. If we build this, the clients are going to lean in and they're going to adopt it as part of their partnership with us. But we have to be fast in order to, meet them where they are, and fill that white space. And so I think the flexibility that we have and the speed at which we can move really helps us identify where we should be prioritizing, which partners we should be leveraging or not. And that really helps us hone in on what the best solutions can be for a given client, whatever their KPIs or business objectives might be.
I love that, Angel. I think we're familiar with the long processes required or needed for larger agencies to move forward. Efficiency, speed is very important, especially in such a fast-paced industry. I'd love to hear from your perspective as well. How do you avoid some of these lock-ins while still maintaining operational efficiency within your company and with your clients?
Great question. I feel like pretty much weekly, we have different vendors coming here, potential partners coming here to present the latest and greatest capabilities. The common thread that we're seeing is obviously, AI. It's the big buzzword now, although I'd argue AI has been around for a long time. We're probably labeling a lot of things AI that are shiny and new, but we've been doing them for, several years. But nonetheless, a lot of the folks that come in here have their own unique value props. And I don't think there's anyone that can do everything, although some might claim to be able to. But that's really where my team keeps a finger on the pulse and really vetting, taking the time to listen, taking the time to learn, see what's out there, and understand when we think hard about our specific client needs, where do these partners fit in? And, some might be really strong on things like access to inventory. Some might be strong on, the types of insights that we can garner to learn more about, who we're trying to target. And the list goes on. But I think really at the end of the day, obviously we're leveraging AI for efficiency and building automation, project management, insight mining, and things along those lines. But my team being really well versed in our clients' objectives, and the ability to really lay out all the different potential partners on the table. And sometimes it's not just, hey, we're going to go all in on this one for this client. It's we're going to use this one because they have really strong CTV inventory. We're going to use this one over here because they're filling a hole that we currently have. But wherever there might be holes, we also, because we're small and nimble, we have the ability to fill those with our own, custom proprietary solutions as well, which I can get into later on in the discussion.
So that's really helpful, Angel. Because you're a fast-moving boutique agency, how do your clients react when you explain to them why you're choosing flexibility over a one-size-fits-all kind of approach?
Yeah. The way I think of it is, when we're partnering with a brand, we're not just pulling solutions off of the shelf and kind of like force feeding it to them. Every one of our clients has a very unique business challenge. It might be creative related, it might be media related, it might be all of the above. So if we're going to listen and be an extension of their team to figure out what's the best solution to help this client, given all the tools and talent that we have at our disposal, why would we approach, our tech stack and our partners in any different way? We should really be customizing our approach for clients, inclusive of tech stack and different partnerships, so that we can maximize their needs for the audiences we're trying to reach, how we're optimizing their media, which types of inventory we're accessing, and how we're measuring, frankly, because, depending on their KPIs, we might be pulling different levers to measure and close the loop on our media. And again, it's not a one size fits all. It's what are we trying to do here? And then of all of the tools we have in our toolbox, what are the best ones for us to break out for that specific client? And I think it's that white glove service that really builds trust. I recall one of our clients is funny. I was just talking to him the other day, and we were talking about a big strategy that we had proposed to them. And this was a Zoom call. So we're here in our agency in Minneapolis. They're at their corporate offices outside of Detroit. And he told me the other day, he said, when we got off of that call and we hung up the Zoom and it was just us in the room without you all there, we were all scratching our heads wondering if this was a good solution. In our mind, on our side, we're like, oh, they totally bought it. They're ready to go. They get it. But there was a hesitation there that they didn't voice to us in the moment. But they trust us, and then he said that to us. He said, live in the room, after we hung up with you guys, we defaulted to say, hey, we trust this team. We don't really totally get the strategy just yet, but we trust the team. And now sales for the month of February, year over year, up 80% for that particular product. So I come from a bit of an old school mentality, because I did spend a portion of my career on the sales side. And, I think we're starting to get to this place where we're overly dependent on the data and the results and all that. Certainly important. Like, the partnership needs to have strong performance. Someone who hires us needs to be able to walk into that CFO's office and justify, the ROI that they're getting in the partnership. And we have to make sure that we're, performing day in and day out, so they have that in their back pocket. But we also have to create, that emotional connection at the human level with them, so that we build that level of trust, so we could have open, honest conversation and not sugarcoat things. Just be direct. I think that's something that we really thrive on and try and do, especially with the level of white glove service that we offer.
And trust is absolutely paramount. It sounds like that's the true differentiator. Just having the sales experience. Working across different platforms, as you've mentioned. And also, you're in Minneapolis, they're in Detroit. It's both relationship-based markets, yep. Being right in between the two of you, being in Chicago,
yep.
Completely get it. And there's a lot of just true humbleness and humility that comes with that. What trade-offs do smaller agencies accept in exchange for staying adaptable?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the biggest one is scale, right? I'm a big believer in quality over quantity. And that goes for the size of our team. We are a small and nimble team, but we're super talented, seasoned vets within this world that we're in. And we're we're honest. So we had an RFP that came in through the other day, and we're really honest with this process too. So, we took a look at it, and my COO, who's phenomenal, who was my former colleague at Target, who decided to join me on this venture. We're looking at it, and we're like, we have a really good shot to win this based on what they're looking for. I wholeheartedly believe that we can win this, but we're going to have to hire probably 20 people should we win it. And, their timeline wasn't going to lend us the time we would need in order to really, truly ramp up in order to service their account while not neglecting the white glove service that we're giving our existing clients that have already trusted us and hired us. So we told them, like, hey, we're happy to throw our hat in the ring here, but should we win, we're going to need 3 to 4 months runway in order to actually start working, in order to put our best foot forward. And they appreciated that. It wasn't in line with what they were looking for, which is fine. But I'd much rather be selective and, have that quality over quantity mentality, because at the end of the day, I care more about the livelihood of our team and our existing clients than
Totally
getting more revenue.
That's a really responsible and respectable answer. If you were starting Pixel and Plume again, if today was day one, what would you intentionally build differently than where you started? Like, how would you change things? That's the final question.
Sure. Probably because like many CEOs, I think not many would admit it. There's a lot of imposter syndrome there, right? It could be a lonely world at times. And I think thinking back, I think I would have went in with a little bit of a different mentality to tell myself, things are not going to happen overnight. It takes time to build a rock star team. We're fortunate here in Minneapolis to have a lot of great talent pools to pull from. It takes time to get operations in order, win new business and do all the things that, as a first-time CEO, I didn't really know at the time I needed to learn how to do, finance and that kind of stuff, HR related things. So it takes time, but at the end of the day, I've learned that you need to learn to take a step back and get beyond that imposter syndrome and recognize that, everything's fine. We're crushing it, and enjoy the journey, right? Because that's the fun part. Because at the end of the day, if we're not having fun doing what we're doing, it's what are we doing? So yeah, I think that's what I would really have done differently, is just come in with that open mind and say, give yourself some grace, give yourself time. You're going to do it right. Your team's awesome. Enjoy the ride.
Angel, that is such a great way to end the conversation. Just considering the theme is open gardens. Being open, having the humility, realizing that you're going to be fine. Work with great people, focus on great platforms, great teams, and do what's best. This has been a great episode. We really appreciate it. We want to thank our sponsor, AI Digital. This is episode 2 of our Open Garden series. Until the next one, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you for episode 3.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angel.
Thanks again for having me, guys.
Have a great day. Thanks.